and welcome to Pedal Playhouse. I'm Joan of Heart, and I guess you probably are wondering how I got here. Yeah, I had a little bit of a run-in with a mandolin slicer. And being a bright-sounding instrument, you would have thought that I would have been aware that it would really cut through the mix. But let's get back into our regular scheduled programming and why I'm here, because I want to share with you the bat verb from Noise Engineering. No, Ozzy, no bats for you, shoo! I'm sorry about that. Before I actually get into the sounds, I actually want to go through the controls because there is quite a bit going on here, so let's get into it. The way that Noise Engineering describes the bat verb is that it is an experimental stereo reverb and synthetic tail generator, and after playing it, I can agree with that description, as you can get some pretty nice sonic textures added to your reverb tails. So let's get into the ways that one can do that by looking at its controls. Now this is the time control. This knob adjusts the length of the delay lines that creates the reverb. You can go from short and subtle to long and expansive. You can also change the behaviors of these with the focus switch, but we'll get into that later. The doom knob is a sub-octave chorus in which you are adding one octave lower than whatever it is you're playing, thickening up the sound and making a very resonant low end. Set to max, this is pretty much where the fun begins, because the low octave really in the stereo field expands outward in a way that sounds, like its name implies, really ominous. Shimmer is an octave up chorusing effect with slight detuning, as well as adding brightness and also dimension to your playing. Both doom and shimmer, in the way that they kind of behave, will change when you engage the ducking switch. So besides focus, we'll get into that one as well soon, but I just want to tell you that there's more than meets the eye here. The regen controls the feedback for the reverb in relation to how long the length in which it sustains for. So dial it down and you're going to get short decay times. But when you dial it up set to max, you're going to have endless ambience. So essentially you are controlling here the length of the reverb tails. And here we are at the focus switch. This kind of changes the character of the reflections, in which when you flip it to the left, you're basically going to get distinct echoes in the way that the delay behaves. If you flip it to the center and then to the right, you're going to get a delay that is a little bit more diffused and having a bit more of an atmospheric effect. Grit is a soft clipping distortion in which it adds saturation to whatever it is you're playing. When you have it in the left position, it's completely off and it's not being engaged. When you have it to the center, you're basically only applying that saturation or distortion to your tails or your delay lines. When you have it full to the right, you're basically applying it to both the dry signal and also the wet signal at the same time. So I usually like to play with that the most when obviously engaging the doom side of the sub-octave, because that obviously is where the fun is, when you can create kind of like rolling thunder and very ominous things, obviously. So that's basically what I like to do with the grit switch. The duck toggle, which we talked about earlier, is pretty much how you're going to change the behavior of the reverb and delay lines, in which while you're playing, when you turn it to the left, you're going to get more of a gated reverb depending on your picking attack. If you turn it to the right, then you're going to get a little bit more of a shy reverb and delay lines that's going to hide behind what you're playing, and as soon as you stop playing, like you hold a note, you're going to have the volume swell right back up as your input signal decreases. So when you have it to the center though, the toggle switch to the center, there are 0 ducks. There are no ducks given. The infinite foot switch lets you freeze your reverb in place, creating an ambient pad in which now your dry signal you can play over it. If you have any distortions or anything before it, now it's kind of fair game to start playing over it in fun ways. And now for something completely different, these knobs. So, in the input knob, we're going to think about the dry signal of your instrument or your synth, depending on whatever it is you're using. So if you're going line level, you're probably counterclockwise. You're not going to need as much, but if you're going in with, let's say, a guitar, you're probably going to need a little bit more of a clockwise approach to get the volume up to where you may like it. The blend knob is a little interesting, and that is different than other blend knobs that I've ever encountered before. And yes, it is a wet and dry signal blend, but what it does is it adds a unique character in the fact that it adds a mild saturation the more clockwise you go. And in this mild saturation, it still retains the articulation of your chords, or whatever it is you're playing. You're not losing that with the saturation being added. So I thought that was a nice way of making a blend knob a little extra. And now we're going to talk about the secondary functions and how you get to them. You hit the little bat button here, which his name is Feedy, little cute feeties he has, and you're going to then be able to control and have a little bit more fine tuning to the pedal, where you think of like high pass, low pass. You can carve off what you want and then ride the reverbs on. So little graphic over here that's going to show you what you can control when you get to those secondary functions. Now, the important thing about the secondary functions, and I definitely made it a point to ask about this because I've been traumatized by renting a pedal once, which I eventually bought, and they didn't have any restore to defaults function. So I inherited whatever someone's like secondary like functions were before me that had it. But luckily I had some online friends that helped me dial it back to a little bit more milder kind of default setting. So in order to get to default factory secondary functions, you're going to hold the bypass, the infinite, and then you're going to hold little Feedy's button there, and that should take you to the factory defaults, and you are smooth sailing back to where you began. So now we're going to get into the sounds, and which you're going to have the pedal here in the settings that are my faves. It's going to be either in either corner, because I don't know how I'm filming right now without the camera, because I have itty bitty film space, like you have no idea. It looks larger than it does. 2 steps I'm out, literally. So in my little space, it's always fun to Tetris and figure out how to set everything up. So this will be in a corner somewhere to show you what the settings are. I'm going to be playing through my Tube Workshop custom single 6 amp with a Celestrum greenback, which we're going to be getting into a further video at some point with a focus on that, and also mic'd up with a Shure NXN5. I'm also going to be recording it in a stereo direct way so that you can really hear the full stereo spread of the ambience and its beauty as well. So I wanted to give you both of those. So with all that being said, to the bat verb. I hope you enjoyed the sounds that I created and showed you my favorite settings. I would say that this is a choose your own adventure reverb and delay pedal. When I first was looking into this pedal, I was like, okay, cool, reverb and delay. You know, it has an octave up and an octave like shimmer. That's actually pretty cool. But then when I finally got here and I got more into the toggle switches, like the focus, the grits, and the way that the blend knob kind of like changed with the saturation and added the character to it, I was finding myself getting a little lost and losing time, but in a good way, you know? Apart from playing it with the amp that I got, that was actually a really good combination that they work so well together, and I found so many ways to play this that, yeah, I kind of had to simplify and keep it down to like my favorites, because, yeah, I kind of want to deliver things to you guys in a way of like, here's the controls as clear, as direct as I can tell you them, and then also with playing like, you know, I want to be able to get to that as quickly as possible. I don't want to waste people's time. Like, just share like the things that I love and appreciate, and hope that you also connect or like that as well. So if you like any of what you've heard, Noise Engineering's link is down below. If you want to learn more about the pedal, there are things that I didn't even get to cover because there's MIDI, there's like so many different things even further than what we discussed that you can probably look into if you are wanting to deep dive into this thing. If you like what you see in here, and you like the way that I guess kind of in a silly way make these videos in entertaining ways, I do gear demos, you know, guitars, I do, you know, music events, interviews, we do so much here. There's animation here at times. Everything is very visual, and I love the education and storytelling aspect of it. So if those are things that you like, I'd love to have you along for the journey ahead, and also look at all the other videos that are on my channel as well. So like, subscribe, and until the next time we meet, be the good you wish to see in the world, be excellent to each other, and be seeing you. Also though, if you're new to this channel, allow me to tell you some details about it and how you can help it grow. Subscribing to the channel is one great way to help, as well as sharing it with your friends and laughing together watching the animated silliness we get into while exploring effects pedals and creating original music with the house band. A monetary way you can support the channel is through Sweetwater affiliate links, as well as Patreon. So thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. I would not have gotten this far without your encouragement and support.